Hello, everyone. Welcome to the DoneJS contributors meeting. Today is Friday, February 3rd, 2017. And let's say hi to people on the core team real quick. We have Julian.
Hi, everyone.
Justin.
I was hoping you'd give me more time so I could come up with my believe in yourselves.
I mean, I know you're kind of like in the middle of
Go Pats!
Go Pats. There we go. All right. Kevin.
Hello.
Matthew.
Yeah, I'm from the South, so I'm obligated to root for the Falcons. Go
Sharif.
Hello.
And Prashant.
Hi, everyone.
Hey. My name is Jason. Let's go ahead and give our statuses. Quick update on what we worked on last week and what we're hoping to accomplish in the coming week. So I'm gonna go first. So this past week, I submitted a lot of proposals to conferences, and then I fixed a couple of bugs here and there. Janky scrolling or like scrolling not working and links not working in Safari on desktop and iOS on the CanJS homepage. That is now fixed. I actually haven't checked if that's deployed, but it's the PR was merged to fix it. And then I submitted a PR to update the SteelJS logo on the homepage. And then today I'm going to be publishing the January 2017 DoneJS community update blog post with everything that happened in the past month. And then next week I'm hoping to update the contribution guide for, or like create a contribution guide for DoneJS to make it a little bit easier to contribute. And then fix a couple bugs here and there. That is my status. Julian, you want to go?
Yep, sure. So we finally published the cache burst plugin for Steel Tools. So now you can cache burst that. You can cache burst your scripts. I have to write docs for the next week. So the plan is to write docs for cache burst and do maybe some stuff on the can stash repo that Justin and I talked about a while ago. So that's the plan for next week.
Cool. Sounds good. Justin.
I focused this at the beginning of this week. I had a talk about kind of the future of CanJS that I gave. It was a lot of. I'm going to post an article about it. And I kind of gave a little bit of it on, I guess Wednesday. I talked about it. I'm gonna release an article. I've been working on an article for it. I'll post that. It's a lot about the stuff that we're doing inside CanJS to make it more stable, but still allow us a lot of flexibility. Hopefully everybody will be able to see that and read it next week. For next week, I'm going to be returning to the Bitsensitive guide, trying to finally get that done and move on to something else.
Cool, sounds good. Kevin Dillon.
Hey, so I submitted my first change to SYN, which puts pointer events and touch events into just the regular click. So I am having a little bit of trouble modifying the test suite. So there's a helper utility that Justin, if I can grab you afterwards, I'd like to go in and like rename some of the stuff because it's a little bit obfuscated, and hopefully that will make it so that I can more rapidly put tests in, and then we can ship this. That would be great. And then after that, I plan to do the same thing for drag events. I think that's the next highest priority for me.
Sweet, sounds good. Kevin Phillips.
Yeah, so I've been working on speeding up
DoneJS app install. So when you do DoneJS add app, so the biggest things I work on were taking out DoneJS deploy, which is really not used anymore in our guides, so it's not used by default. And then updating the generators to use Yeoman 1.0 because it's smaller and because the one we were using was kind of out of date, and then moving document.js into a generator. So you'll have to do DoneJS add document.js. And that now when you generate an app, it used to be 343 megabytes, and now it's down to 177, which is awesome. It's almost half the size of what it was before. And then I made some other small changes. Removed some options from DoneJS Cordova, so you can't create like Windows Phone 8 apps anymore. Not that you ever could because it didn't work, but the option was there. And then some other small changes. So next week, on Sunday, I'm going to be presenting about module loaders and Steel.js in Naperville, Illinois, if anyone is near there. And then continuing on DoneJS 1.0. We're getting close to being done, I think. So
sweet.
Cool.
Matthew.
Hey, so I've also been working on DoneJS 1.0. I've been focused on fixing kind of this service-based URL concept that we have is prominent in place in my order. It's kind of confusing and kind of a manual process. So trying to make that automated for the developer, pushing all that into configuration. So I'm in the process of finishing that up, and then move on to other DoneJS 1.0 things. Also on the side, I upgraded Can Observe, which is a package we've had for a little while that makes it possible to create observables out of just plain objects. So you can take just a plain object and it will be observable without defining all the properties and all that stuff that you do with Can Define. Uses JavaScript proxies to do that, which is somewhat of a fairly new feature to JavaScript. So I cleaned it up. It was very easy to upgrade it and everything. So did that, added some docs, and submitted it to the CanJS for the ecosystem. So there's a PR out for that. So that's all I have.
Cool. Sounds good. Sharif.
Okay. I was working on the issue on Can View model for setting custom map on the element. So I fixed it for the simple map, and hopefully today I will continue to work on other maps types like define map and the can map. That's it for me.
Cool. Sounds good. Prashant.
Yeah, sure. So this week I was working on a can defect where we were not serializing the null and blank values in the data object. So I've submitted a pull request for that, and it has already been merged. And next week I'm planning to take up this can define.prototype issue, in which we have to support ES5 array functions. So this has been a backlog item for me. It has been with me for quite some time now, but I'm planning to take this up next week.
Sweet. Sounds good. Okay, before we move on to topics in the forum, does anyone else have anything that they want to bring up? Nope. All right, cool. So going through the forum post, I posted first. Let me share my screen. I wanted to bring up a comment on this issue about the roadmap for DocumentJS 1.0. I asked because we've been using BitDocs and moving our sites. We moved the CanJS site, the Steel.js site, and now we're moving the DoneJS site to BitDocs. I wanted to understand how it related to the future of DocumentJS. And then, Justin, your comment about it replacing DocumentJS is a little bit concerning when it's just a one-liner, because there's not any more detail on like what we're doing with current document.js sites is BitDocs going to be the 1.0 of document.js, and we're going to figure out the upgrade path. And I wanted to understand this comment more.
I mean, the comment is intentionally vague because I'm not sure in terms of actual resourcing and scheduling when Bitovi will put in an effort to BitDocs. For now, BitDocs is mostly there because it does everything that we need in terms of our sites. It is much better than document.js in terms of like how it's built and what it could do. But we need, from a resourcing, we need someone who can spend a lot of time on it, document it, and get it up to the level of quality that document.js is. So that, I don't know when that's going to happen. Because right now, yeah, I think that given our resources, it's much better to put the time into DoneJS, CanJS, SteelJS, even FunkUnit and Syn than it is for document.js. Well, I really believe in that. I like it as a static site generator. I think there's a lot of potential there because it does some things that I don't think any other static site generator could do or could do nearly as well as we're doing it. Just it's not priority.
Yeah, that's tough. Hopefully we can get more contributors to document.js and maybe figure out what, like, I feel like ideally we would figure out how we can make BitDocs the 1.0 of document.js and just figure out how to make that transition. Because we have however many people using document.js on their projects right now, and supporting things like the like lifestyle guides and document CSS.
Yeah,
so it sounds like we need to figure out that transition and just get someone to contribute and care about it.
Yeah, I've tried to convince Tom, people who aren't Bitovi people. Tom is the UX design director of Bitovi, to invest in it as a share, because the design team at Bitovi actually uses it more heavily than I would say the development team. It's really part of their application lifecycle or their development process. So I've tried to convince him to invest in it. I would say that anybody else who's at Bitovi watching this should also try to convince Tom to invest in it as a kind of shared development design practice thing, where a document CSS would be like the first output of the enhanced BitDocs. But it needs that, and it needs a champion. It needs someone who's going to be like, this is, I love static site generation. And I want to build a popular open source project around that. But that doesn't, if anybody's watching it who's interested in that conceptually, like the reason why BitDocs is so, there's two things I think BitDocs is going to do better than almost any other static site generator out there. Is one is it uses NPM as a really good built-in plugin system that works especially well with static assets. So it's very easy to build a plugin that does just one thing with BitDocs, and then you can just load all these plugins and they integrate themselves. But they integrate themselves in a really highly performant way because it uses Steel's build system automatically under the hood, and it could be extended to use Steel's multi-build system under the hood really easily. So you can do things like, well, I load a slider, but it's only on this page, these static pages, and I have this other build for these static pages, and it can use Steel's multi-build, and it just works, and production would be fast. I think we need to just get people involved, basically.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. Did anyone have anything that they wanted to say before we move on? Cool. Justin, you posted next. Do you want to talk about composition and inheritance?
Sure. I don't know if Matthew has any other follow-ups to my last comment in that thread, but my feelings are I think it's fine for us to accomplish. It's just not a priority for me to provide inheritance scheme around components as much as I'd rather spend time on the composition things. So if it's just, to me, it's just a trade-off. Unlimited resources, I think we do it.
Yeah, I don't have any particular opinion about that because I'm more focused on custom elements than canned components. So yeah, I think if someone wanted to do that in canned component, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think inheritance is good because it's built into JavaScript, which makes it, very, very something you almost have to know about. And I don't think you really have to choose one or the other because, especially with ES6 classes, you can very easily have inheriting classes that use composition because you can, you can have a function which takes a class which then returns a new class. So you can easily compose classes in a similar way that you can compose functions using functions.
Yeah, there's kind of a philosophical thing, I think, I see JavaScript maybe a little differently than you because JavaScript was kind of when it's initially designed, and even classes are just because mechanically JavaScript doesn't really have classes as we know them, like from other language. It has prototypal inheritance, and class is just syntactic sugar on top of that, which is, to me, I don't know. I don't.
Whatever you call it, nothing.
It shades how I think about and the importance of classes because there's a proto chain and that's how everything works. Not the standard
I think about. I mean, to me, it's 100% like a clarity thing. Is that it's okay, you can do mix-ins, you can do that kind of thing, but there's no way to do it. You have to create a way to do it, which means anything that uses anyone that uses your thing has to learn how to use your thing, and there's a learning curve to doing that. Whereas classes are a standard thing, so everyone, you cannot avoid using them.
But
they're still relatively new.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a problem that goes away over time. It's a standard
but
thing.
Decorators would be here's how you do a mix-in in a formalized language way if those land.
Possibly. So it's going to be interesting to see, what do you choose? When do you choose one over the other? I don't think that's clear because I mean, there's definitely disadvantages to overusing decorators too, as it becomes a kind of a kludgy mess of 1,000 decorators. So it's interesting to me. But I'll post a link in the forums. There's a good blog post about how to do mix-ins using classes, and it's I think a pretty powerful technique. I think it's something we should look forward to trying out. And I know we have with custom elements are based on inheritance, so you have to do inheritance. So I've been working on custom elements for CanJS. Check out Can Custom Elements project for more about that. So it's something that we're going to have to use there.
So the philosophical debate aside, for people who do want to extend components, is there something that we can do to make it easier for someone else to implement if it's not a priority right now? Is this one of those things we can solve on paper and somebody else can take on?
I think I did in the other issue, the original issue. I kind of solved it on paper there. It's not super hard. You just have to overwrite components extend to see if it's extending a base component, and then just extend the view model. The hard part of that specific proposal was the super part of the template, and I would just punt on that. I think the way that I think what you could do is just give people an easy way to I think giving people an easy way to like register partials and then just call those partials to me would be good enough. Especially, I think also if the components themselves, like we nicely expose their view and their view model. I think there's a lot we can do there.
Isn't that super custom element thing kind of just the same as an easy way to register a partial? I mean, it's just like the template, the parent template is registered as a partial.
But there's no like, there's no, how do I say this? Like, there's not and you could do something like this, but there's not like a place to register with a particular template with just like a renderer function, like meta information on that particular renderer, right? What you have to do is like wrap a renderer function with another renderer function that would call the original, but with like the second options argument with some like additional stuff. Like it's doable, but it's not, there's nothing there mechanically for that kind of stuff. You know, like,
okay.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
Not exactly. No.
I'll write it up more, ideas on that. And it can be a little tricky. At least getting content tag to work is tricky because there's like the child might get rendered, but it might have a content tag, so you need to make it so that the old one isn't like available, and there's some kind of tricky stuff that goes on inside a component to get content to work. But I'll write something up.
Okay.
Cool.
Justin, you had more topics?
Yeah, decorators and define. Just one thing that I'm been thinking about is how to make upcoming decorators, and I really want classes to work with our stuff, and decorators. So I don't know. This is just to frame everybody. I put this issue in they're thinking about supporting public fields in class, and these are basically initializers. So it's like saying that, hey, when a new instance of person is created, the name property gets initialized to Beyonce. But the spec really, like, I don't know, it's super in its infancy, and they basically told me to like do this in the decorators proposal, but I have a feeling that when I go to the decorators, they're going to be like, well, this is a problem with the field proposal. I don't know, just on a high level for everybody, I guess what I want people to what I'm concerned about is that the way they're putting these two proposals together, the richness of what we can support in can define will not be possible to elegantly integrate into a class. The only way that like I feel like it could be done right now is just kind of nasty, where you just have the define behavior take what it does now, and you would put that right before the class. All your methods would go in here, but like everything else would go in here, which just isn't fun. I mean, it's not so bad because it kind of breaks up property behavior from maybe methods, but I don't know, it'd be so much cooler if we could get it somehow working inside, or you could just do @define up here. But because classes don't allow you to mutate the prototype except for methods and getter setters, you can't just put objects on the prototype with the class, with ES classes. It kind of limits what we might be able to do with classes. Anyway,
the other way is how like Angular does it now, putting everything above the class.
Yeah, that's what I showed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I didn't know if you said that.
Oh, that Angular does it this way?
Yeah, there other frameworks have kind of done that as well.
Yeah, I think it's not. I don't know. I don't like it, but it's the best solution that we have right now, I think.
I think it's the easiest solution. for sure.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would still argue that it's the best because it's anything else where if you started putting the functionality, it gets really. I don't even know if this kind of stuff is possible. They don't even have this.
Well, yeah, I would go with what classes are, like the way I always think about it is, the classes that we have in browsers. I wouldn't go based off of speculative proposals that could very well change, which decorators are kind of that already, but fields are definitely, who knows what's going to happen there.
Yeah. So yeah, anyways, it's weird. So that's one thing I wanted to bring up. The
Justin, question: are you going to pursue this in the decorators proposal, or what are your next steps for?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it up there too to see what people have in mind. But I feel like my gut makes me an experience going down these roads make it so that we'll be kind of between a rock and a hard place. Like it's Yehuda's on both, but he's kind of, I mean, he just had a kid, so I haven't seen much activity in him except on Facebook, because he's just posting pictures of his kid every day. I just feel like he's going to be like very busy and not, I don't know. He's on both, but nobody else really seems to be on both. So I'm wondering, I don't know. We'll see what happens with both those specs, because a lot of times they'll just bounce me off to each other. But I'm gonna try.
Okay, good.
Next thing I wanted to just quickly, DoneJS Chicago, like the week after next, we're having an event, a hack night, where we're gonna go through how to build this fun little file system example. So if people are looking for how to make a file navigation kind of thing, nested structure, make that also work, where this actually is making AJAX requests to a fixture, but it is simulating a service layer there. Good thing to learn from.
Are you going to be streaming that?
Oops. Thank you.
Sorry.
Hey, here's Hack Night in Chicago. Here's the nice file system. You can see like loads from the potential service layer. Not very much code actually. Very simple. It's mostly all in the template because we have just one folder component, and it just loads its entities. If it is it gets an entity type, which can either be a folder or a file, and if it is a folder, it can get a promise for its contents. And it does some nice things here where it won't load the data again, and most of it's just in the. I'm going to write something up like this, so I'm not going to go to super detail here, but it's pretty easy to build stuff like this, I guess, with CanJS. So that's nice. And the final thing, as I wanted to call out Matthew, so he would talk about what his service URL stuff was turning into. I kind of wanted to hear about that.
You want to hear how it's going to work? Is that?
Yeah, how it's going to work and end up looking, because I think this is a really interesting. What we're doing is DoneJS. A big part of DoneJS's goals are to kind of solve all the kludgy maintenance things that you have to deal with and try to make that as elegant as possible, and making it so you can develop local, like on your local machine, but then when production, you've got your code running on a CDN, but it's got to be loading towards your production URLs. And then if you're trying to release a Cordova app, well, that can't hit local because it's running from the file system. It's got to go to your service URL. So Matthew's, what he was been working on is this service URL bit to make it easy to manage that stuff. So I want to hear more about it.
Let me share my screen. I'll show you what I haven't gotten to the juicy part. Been doing kind of some background stuff, but what it is now is so this is prominent in the place motor guide. The reason that we need this is that when you do like a native app builds, they don't have a web server with them, so you don't have the database or in the service layer or anything like that. You have to connect to an external service layer. So like in the placement order guide, we have you hook up to the placementorder.com service. So you create this file, you still platform, you conditionally check for Cordova and W, and then you do this. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with this necessarily. It's just kind of a, it's a, like I said, it's a maintenance problem. Every time you create a model, like let's say you want to create another model, you got to remember to import this thing and then do all this stuff. So we're going to have the generators do this for you. So it'd be part of configuration now. So let's look at the package.json. In the steel section, there'll be like a default. There'll be a default property. So you know we have like this rendering base URL, and what this does is it tells Steel to pull files from the CDN when doing server rendering. This is a similar concept. There will be a service base URL. And it'll be just blank by default, which means that there is no service being used. So and then your models.
It doesn't mean there's no service. It just means that it's like using localhost or whatever wherever you're hosting.
Yeah, exactly. It's not gonna. Yeah, it's not appending a like a domain, a base domain. It's just gonna go to your /API or whatever that happens to be. This will be gone. There won't be any. You won't have to create that module anymore. Generators will produce probably something like this. Steel.loader.base URL is where the, or excuse me, service base URL is where that is. This will be the same otherwise. So this will just be generated for you. It gets the base URL. It always adds it to your connection. So by default, yeah, this is an empty string, so that's just gonna use this as the URL. When you actually go in and you add like Cordova, for example, it's gonna add to the IMS configuration. It's gonna add a new one called Cordova production. So what these IMS configurations do is they allow you to like define a special environment. We have some kind of common ones we use: server production, window production, window development. We're going to have one Cordova production, and this is going to have a service base URL. So it's going to ask you when the generator runs, it's going to be like, hey, do you need to connect to an external service? And what is the actual one? It's just that. It's going to ask you what your service base URL is, and you're going to type that in, and it's going to put all this in there for you. Same thing for the DoneJS generator. It will do the same thing. Yeah, and that's basically it. So it will happen when you run the generators. This file will go away, and you'll just kind of always have this as part of the models. It'll just be kind of a core part of it.
But you have always to put the base URL on the URL for Supermap, right? Or
yes, that's what it's for. Might call this service base URL.
Won't
Yeah,
like
but
automatically do it, and
the generators will do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. What I mean is that if you say the steel import is generated by Steel on while building, right?
We're using Steel as for configuration. That's where we're putting the configuration values.
No, what I mean, if you go back to restaurant JavaScript JS, and you remove the import Steel and the service base URL is equal to Steel loader. If you remove that,
this?
That will generated by Steel.
I'm not following your question.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not sure if this is it, but one thing we could do is just have as part of Can Connect a Steel service-based URL behavior that would automatically add service-based URL for you, and then people wouldn't have to do any of this. We wouldn't even have to have the generators do the add Steel import. Any of this. Is that what you mean, Julian?
No. If you go back, first you had one line to import your
Import steel.
No, before that.
Yes, it's more lines of code in the generator. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I mean. Before you had one line and you imported your module, and now you have more two lines, and you have to use it if in your supermap connection, right?
Yeah, you're more 2 lines, but you get rid of this file. This file doesn't exist anymore.
You can do it in one line, right? With a
Well, you can't because you could with CommonJS. You can't with ES6 imports.
Yeah, but I think you talked about that while building, Steel will generate that will rewrite your code. So
Oh no! Steel will not rewrite your code.
Okay.
No, the generators will update your package JSON.
Okay.
You add the configuration, like when you add Cordova, it will add this. But Steel is not rewriting your code at all. You're just always going to have, with DoneJS app, you just always have a default service space URL, which is just an empty string.
Okay.
So yeah, Steel is not doing anything to your code. And actually, you don't actually need this import Steel, because Steel is global, but it's nicer to have it.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess what I really wanted to also touch upon this is that Steel is now tipping its toes, and it has been for a while, but it's tipping its toes more and more into the configuration pool. And that's just something I think we have to, that might be one of those problems that we have to look to solve for people in good ways. Steel.js to be able to help people there.
Yeah, maybe. It worries me a little bit.
Yeah, it does me too, but we're doing it already so much. So
right. Well, we used to have DoneJS configuration. I guess we're getting rid of that now, right, Kevin? Because we really only had that for DoneJS deploy, and since we actually don't need DoneJS deploy now, we won't have that anymore, I think, or do we? Maybe we do. Does that configuration still exist? You do DoneJS add Firebase?
Yeah, I don't remember what DoneJS Firebase adds. I think it's just a Firebase config.
Anyways, we used to have DoneJS, an DoneJS option in the package JSON, and we never really went down the road of doing that. It's just Steel already has a way to do it. Everything that goes in the Steel section of your package JSON goes on Steel's loader. Yeah, it's definitely something we should think more about.
yeah, cool. That's all I had.
So I had a simple question. So why import @Steel and then do Steel.loader instead of importing @loader? Isn't that a thing already?
Yeah, you can do that too.
Is there a difference?
I haven't actually written this part, so I haven't thought which one's better. I don't know if that's better. Maybe. You actually don't need to import anything because Steel is a global. You can just do Steel.loader. Or system.
I was just wondering, is there a preference is there one way we should be showing people? Because
I don't know. The @loader is always, it's not a super user friendly thing. It's kind of hard to explain. I mean, both of those.
I mean, then to me, one solution is to put this in a behavior or in a can't connect behavior, and then we have like a DoneJS supermap or something.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Is where that doesn't become part of supermap because that would feel wrong. We would have to create a DoneJS, which is cool. Actually, I mean, I like that. I like that where CanJS can be kind of lower level, but more. I don't know what the right word is, but more. I guess lower levels, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can even put this in CanJS. Is its ecosystem is we can just have a DoneJS supermap and DoneJS map.
Yeah.
Or so we can just create those, and then we just use those in our guides, and then it's already it's pre-configured to look for the service-based URL already. I don't know.
Well, kind of related is what I was going to say is I like that we are able to like the glue, like let DoneJS be the way to glue stuff together a little bit.
Yeah, that's
one example that I've been thinking about, because I've been working on this custom element stuff, is that like the custom element project that I've been working on, it doesn't import like polyfills for you. And I don't really think it should. So I thought it'd be cool if we had like a DoneJS version of that, which would use steel conditional to conditionally import the polyfills for you. So it's kind of glad that we have that awesome feature now. Anyways, side note.
Justin, now that you've brought up integrating this into a different project, like this seems like way too much engineering for what is just configuration. Like, why are we solving?
Because go through the guide with people, as I have, like, you know, I've probably done like 5 or 6 times, and this is what screws up everybody, and it's super error prone. To make so that when people switch to Cordova, they just like make all these mistakes getting their configuration and their models. They have to go back and change like their models in like 6 places, and if they get any of them wrong, like the app breaks in kind of strange ways.
So I understand moving that into a module that's where you're just having configuration in one place. What I don't understand is why we would be creating other modules, like other like can modules or done modules to solve what's a configuration problem.
Well, it's, do we want, I mean, because this still exposes the users to potential error, because in every single model, like Matthew was saying, they would have to, you know, I'm always wary of code that you have to almost use a generator for to get right, or it can be a little tricky. And you saw, like, you have to import the loader. That's a little bit confusing. And then you have to read a configuration. You got to make sure that's set up in every single model. Sure, we can make people do that. Or we could just make it so as long as you import this behavior, then, you know, then it all works. It's all packaged up for you.
Can Supermap take like other behaviors?
Not currently, no.
So I wonder if that would be like, would it be better to create a DoneJS Supermap, or would it be better to create or to extend Supermap to?
Yeah, we've talked about how to add. I think I put in some comment like a way so you could do like insertions and stuff like that to like rewrite a behavior or a connection. I think that might be like a better term, long term, like a, because sometimes these behaviors with Can Connect, you have to add them in weird places. It's a really, you know, that's the one problem with, like, in some ways, mix-ins or composability. I guess it would still be a true inheritance. It's just you have to order things correctly. And some behaviors would need to be added like in the middle. They just can't be added at the end. And I thought about ways of, like, you know, now that you can use set prototype of in some browsers, and I think every browser that we support, you can even change the proto property.
Yeah, proto is supported everywhere.
Yeah, you could just say, like, you've got this one Supermap connection, but what I want to do is insert this one behavior like right in the middle of that chain. And that kind of stuff could work now. I don't know if that's a path we want to go down, but anyways, the reason is, the fundamental reason is, you know, we want to make it so that to remove boilerplate is a nice thing, generally speaking. And this is a lot of boilerplate for every single model to have.
Okay, maybe I don't understand, like, I understand what Matthew just went through, but I don't understand I guess I don't understand the alternative, but we can move on.
The alternative is you just, instead of importing can connect /supermap, you might do can connect -DoneJS supermap. And then it's the same.
And then you get rid of like the loader.baseURL part, and it
Yep.
does that for you internally.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not going to do it that way. So if Jason, if you don't like that idea, we're not going to do it that way at first, at least, because that we have not talked about that before right now. So if we want to talk about that as the solution, we can create an issue and debate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sharif, you posted a topic about a can-util PR.
Yes, it's about can-util sign. I opened the open request a month ago. I don't know how much exactly. Where I added a small improvement, but I don't know if it has some impacts on other projects of CanJS. So I would like to discuss it. Otherwise, we will close it.
Yeah, do you want to share your screen to show the issue?
Yeah.
I've got it here too.
Okay, you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay.
So I mean, I would just say this is totally fine if this is how normal object assign works.
Yeah.
Because we should just mimic that. If object assign doesn't copy values on the proto chain, and own property. So yeah, your change is actually good. So yeah, your change is actually the right change to make. The right change to make.
Hey, just a side note, aren't you like not supposed to use has own prototype? You're supposed to use object prototype has own prototype? Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, well, that's kind of a safety check.
Right. I don't remember the reason for that.
Because it's possible that has own property has been overwritten in your
okay. Okay. Yeah.
In S.
I've been doing that for years, always doing it that way, and I don't remember why.
Yeah. So yeah, Sheriff, I would just say, yeah, that's probably a good change to make, and then I would just add a test showing that it was broken, and then we can get this in.
But you said this change breaks something else, Sheriff?
Oh, it does? Oh, it does break something.
So, you see, because the sound here is not so good, you said I should add more tests about this?
Oh, no, yeah, well, it'd be nice to have a test in object assign. I don't know if we even have tests in there, but it would be good to add them. But yeah, I'll try to figure out why it's breaking. But this is a good change. It's just we need to make sure things that were relying upon the broken functionality, those need to get fixed.
Cool. Sure, if you're good with that.
Yes, it's good. Thank you.
Cool. Sounds good. Oh, and you also have the topic of what we're going to be working on after DoneJS 1.0. Is that correct?
Yes. I don't know. Personally, I don't know where I can help to get DoneJS 1.0 to get it out. So I would like to know because I was not present for a long time. I would like to help to get it out. So if someone can tell us what we should be done this week or the few days that comes.
Sure. Do you have or Justin? Can we get him the Zen Hub maybe? Because
he's a contributor, so he should be able to have it. Yeah. So just so just as a reminder, I think we talked about this a long time ago, but if you install the ZenHub plugin, so we organize all of our stuff through Epics using this ZenHub plugin. So we have, if you go to the DoneJS page, once you have ZenHub installed, you'll see this boards. Now this will take a long time to load at first.
Yeah, I was gonna say, might just want to go to the issue.
Yeah, go, or you can go to the issue. That's a good word.
Issue, it's 703.
Okay.
Memorized.
No, I have a tab open.
It takes a long time to load if you load the big board, because it's like every one of our repositories that has to pull data in. Which one, Matthew?
703.
Okay, so then if you go to this, you can actually see what we kind of have spec'd out for the DoneJS 1.0 release. This will take a little bit to load as well, but eventually it'll show you all of the sub-issues that we've created. And then a lot of times we label everything by priority. So you'll see like a P1 through P whatever tag. I guess they don't show up here, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would say maybe avoid. There's something about the website. I would avoid those because Manuel's making kind of a large website change currently.
Some stuff you could do if it's just the text is wrong. Like if you want stuff that's like, yeah, there's stuff you want to do that's really easy. Like look for ones that have the lowest numbers. Like those are the ones that we've estimated. Oh, that's the other nice thing about ZenHub is it allows you to estimate time. So there's some like 1s and 2s in here that that are probably pretty doable, and you can look for those. And avoid the in progress ones. You want to stick with the ones that are like new issues or in the backlog maybe. But a lot of times in backlog it means someone's about to do one of them.
We can follow up afterwards too to send you some of these links and maybe some good issues to take on. Sure. If you wanna message me on Gitter, I can help you with that too. And anyone else.
Cool.
Awesome. I think that was it for topics that were in the forum post. So before we go, does anyone else have anything that they want to bring up before we call it a meeting? Nope. Cool. All right. Thank you, everyone who's in the Hangout for coming. Anyone who's watching on YouTube, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
See ya. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Yep.
See ya.
Hey.
Bye.
See you all.